Yeah. And Tracy's coming. Yeah. She said she was.
So. We're calling, I guess we call it to order at whatever time it is, 7:35. And then we read the sunshine law notice. Please.
This is the regular meeting of the Shade Tree Commission of the Borough of Fairhaven. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, public meetings may be held in person or by means of communication equipment to include streaming services and other online meeting platforms. This meeting is being held in person and through the Zoom meeting platform being broadcast from Borough Hall, 748 River Road, Fairhaven, New Jersey. Public participation for this meeting on May 3rd, 2023 is available by calling phone number or through Zoom. Members of the public will be on mute until it is time for questions, comments, which will be announced. At that time, the public has the opportunity to question, comment by phone or through Zoom by the raise hand button and will be called on at the appropriate time. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and the Star Ledger on January 26, 2023. Posted on the Borough website, the local board of the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. With adequate notice having been given, the Shade Tree Commission Secretary is directed to include this statement in the minutes of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. And do you mind doing a roll call as well? Sure, thanks.
Kristen Larson, absent. Michael D'Angelo, absent. Christopher McCabe, he's online. Absent. Jill Sullivan,
Here.
Kevin McGovern,
Here.
Leah Begani, Peter DeGotti,
Here.
Michael Hoey,
Here.
Bonnie Torresivia.
Here.
There are no council president, excuse me. You have a quorum.
Great. Okay, let's stand for the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're going to move to approve the prior meeting minutes unless anybody has any reason not to.
Motion to approve the minutes?
I can second it. All right. The minutes are approved. All right, so let's move on to project updates. The first is Arbor Day and Mike is not here. Do we have anything from him?
Yes, Ms. Atkins, I can give an update that he received the posters from Millwood for the poster contest, and the Shade Tree Commission, you will be deciding a winner for each grade level after the meeting, and then the winners will be communicated to and invited to attend the Shade Tree June meeting to be awarded their prizes.
Great, thank you. Okay, next is the green team and the natural area. Bonnie?
Okay, so love where you live at Green Team. Love Where You Live Day is this Sunday from 1 to 4 at Bicentennial Hall. I know Jill, you're away, right? Are you guys gonna?
I'm in.
Yeah.
I signed up.
Okay, good, okay. So we're going to hopefully have something about the free giveaway. Yay,
Done.
perfect.
All right.
So the QR code will lead you to a Google form that will collect your email and your address, and then you could click whether or not you're interested in the, learning more about the tree buying program or being informed basically when it's going to happen. And then also we added in, would you like to volunteer for Shade Tree Commission projects? So it's like, they will collect data on people that would actually be willing to raise their hand for volunteering as well.
Okay, you mean when you say street tree?
Shade Tree.
Oh, shade tree, I think it's street tree, sorry.
I might have.
Okay, great. That's-
So you can just, this is for you. You can just pop it on.
Do you think, could you make a little cheat sheet, for whoever's working there, like Burn Book Nursery? I don't know. Do you have any more?
It's on there.
Is it all on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to?
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
If you have any like minor tweaks, I give you them tomorrow, that's it.
Okay, I mean, we don't have any idea what kind of trees there are, people ask, right, at this point?
No, it's going, the answer to that question is it's determined based on their inventory. But it will all be trees that grow well in this area of New Jersey. And there will be a selection. That would be how I would answer that question.
Okay,
And if somebody asks, specifically about the program, it's not something brand new, it's something that's been tested in Manasquan. And there's a few at Point Pleasant, so it's a tested program.
and do we know the price? Did they?
We do not, they will
Yeah.
not tell us that until they confirm their inventory and they kind of like assess what the delivery charges will be, but.
Like 380, isn't that what?
I mean, if someone. I would say last year Manasquan paid 380, but we're a little bit further, so the delivery price could be different, but we don't expect it to be that much different than that price.
Okay,
That's how I would
okay,
answer that.
great. And I told you that, the gal who runs the New Jersey Tree Foundation, that they plant trees all over the country, or the state, in a lot of, underserved urban, cities. She said Cranbrook was great. She highly
Yeah.
recommended, so.
Yeah, no, I'm
that's
excited
good to
that, yeah,
know.
and they're an approved vendor now.
Yay.
Um,
Can we buy? Like, could we as a borough buy it from them too? Do they do that? Or is it just this,
well, that's
Yeah.
that's why we got them to be an approved vendor.
right, so we
Yes.
can go and do that. Do you know if there's like a, can we buy a tree or we have to do it in big groups like for the giveaway?
I'm sure you could buy a tree. I don't know how much they would charge for delivery. I mean,
Yeah,
that would be. We are going to buy a tree for the tones. And during this time period. So that it can go on the delivery truck with the rest of the trees. So I think that's, in my opinion, if that's something that the commission wants to do, we should probably do it at the time when,
yeah,
we could go in on the
Planting.
order.
yeah,
And take advantage of that,
Yeah.
so, but you'll talk to that probably.
oh, for the bonds.
Bonds on-
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's,
We're just talking about Love Where You Live Day, and Jill has this all set for the table,
Tracy.
so the
Oh,
tell everybody about the program, so that's great.
that's wonderful.
And we will have the oak tree that is, still in Tracy's garage,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. It needs a little repair, but and we'll somehow string up all these beautiful, I mean, the artwork is adorable.
You want to
And-
pass these to Bonnie as well. This is the receipt book. If you collect donations, then you could extra door hangers.
Yeah, so I.
Did you guys get started?
Yeah. So I did buy the 4 trees for the tree planting, as part of Arbor Day. That hasn't happened yet. Because of markout issues at the locations, but I didn't add the tree for Love Where You Live Day in there, because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to do that, if I just had to do the 800 separately, so anyway. I just bought a tree and I'm gonna donate that to the table so we can get that away.
Thank you.
Yeah, it just, such a hassle, the whole process of one tree. So anyway, and I have a couple few oaks, I have a nice bur oak and a couple others, so if you want to put there. And I also, Mark and I have been growing these little trees, little oak trees from acorns. So I thought maybe we put a couple of them on the table if people want to take them home and just kind of just show them how easy it is, that you just, it's actually not easy because the squirrels want to eat every single one of them. You have to protect them. But I just thought it'd be kind of fun to have on the table. And I don't know, besides this, if anybody had anything that they wanted to put.
We have the stickers.
I have the bottom. I panicked, yeah, I had the box, all the
Okay.
things from last year.
Okay.
And it was tree planting guides and.
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, so we'll put that there.
Oh, perfect.
Leah was not able to make it today, but she sent me something. She texted me last minute that she can't make it and that she emailed me or is going to email me tomorrow at work. Something she'd like at the table. She wants me to make copies at the Borough tomorrow, so I
great.
will get that to you somehow.
Okay,
before.
great.
I don't know if this is,
Oh, okay, Chris, I think is doing the first shift, I'm sorry. No.
go ahead, yours. I,
There's one more thing coming your way, but I don't even know what it is. The flyer, I think she said.
From Leah, okay.
maybe for next year, because this is like in 30 seconds, but I'm just looking at that. It'd be very cute to like, I feel like everybody buys, plants all the time and you wind up with these pots. What if we collected those and next year we could have like a oak and acorn planting like station at our shade tree cushion table? I mean, really, that would just be like hot dirt.
Yeah, I mean, the thing
Time
is,
of year.
yeah, so this is a red oak. And Mark kept all of these, because the red oaks, you have to stratify over the winter. White oaks hit the ground and immediately start to grow. The roots go down, they go up, and if something doesn't eat them, they're good. Red oaks you have to, keep in the garage and kind of damp, and anyway, so then we put these out in early spring to germinate them. They're a little bit
So it's
tricky,
not-
but I have a bunch, I have like 20 of these, so I could put them on the table and give them to people. if they
Yeah,
were
no,
curious.
yeah.
And I think that, what would be really great is do something in the fall. It's Tickle School is across the street from tons of acorns. I mean, if those little kids could go out, we've talked about this, collecting the acorns, wait for the day, waiting for it, and they fall down and then they collect them. And, they could even share them with Knollwood. They grow themselves or, might be good to give them something to do.
Yeah, instead of throwing them at each other.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, besides, I was just gonna put these, the two posters that I was gonna put on the table, they're stuck back to back. That I was gonna do. And I made this poster with the Salem oak tree, this Arbor Day project, these markouts. First, when you get a mark out at your house, it's really easy. You call up and you get, they come out to put the yellow flags in. When you do it at a public park, you have to circle where the tree is gonna go and get the GPS. And first it boiled, Mark and I didn't get it, and you have to get it in 3 days, within 3 days to do the mark out. And then Mark took it to Teresa and it was assigned to DPW and then it didn't happen again. So, we still are not okay with the mark out. Hopefully, David Joy said he took care of it. If that's the case,
Rich, or was it delegated to Rich?
it was, no, that was delegated down the ladder.
Okay.
I think they might have just run out of time, I'm not sure what
Yeah,
happened,
yeah.
but, anyway. So hopefully we'll be planting some, so that's 3 o'clock on Friday. If you're interested in helping out, it's kind of fun, the Millwood Green Team's gonna be there with our green team, and, I think Mike D'Angelo is on board, hopefully. And anybody else is certainly welcome to come, and they just have a couple trees, I'm gonna plant them. I have a carload full of mulch that I picked up from Risers today to put around them. It's way too much mulch. But I have to say that Marty Riser he heard what we were doing. He goes, "I'll give you mulch, no problem." So it was really nice that he just dumped and, I realized my best shovel's under the mulch, but I'll have to find something else. But, so one of the things, the Salem oak, I'm hoping to put a big sign when we do plant it, when we finally do plant it in Carter, so people realize what it is, because it looks,
Yeah.
it's tiny, I mean, it's like this big. And then I still have 2 more that I have 3 of these Salem oaks. So, and they're really, I mean, talk about good genes, right? Their mother would live to be 600, so it would be nice. I mean, I wondered if, William Albert Robarb's Park is kind of open, like right behind the sign, and I mean, and they already have one white oak there, so it's obviously they grow there. I don't know what
I don't know, even if
It's-
you asked, I think the governing body would ask the Shade Tree Commission for their advice about where to put it. But you could consult.
I mean, I really need to get these in the ground. They've been in these pots, the roots are gonna start to go if they haven't, So,
In that new area that you're clearing in Fairhaven, in the
Yeah.
natural area, that isn't a good space for that?
I just feel like these are special, like they should have a like by themselves kind of thing, and make sure somebody's really paying attention and watering them, and I mean, we could, I just thought it should have like a place of honor.
Mhm.
That's why I keep looking at these parks and thinking that we could get somebody to you know, McCarter, I think that place is good. And then William out the road for it, so just to think that today. So I mean, if this group approves that, then is it a rich?
No, we got, then we'll have to get discussed probably engineering DPW committee. Because I would think you'd need something around it. Right?
Yeah, we could put fencing. We could do that.
Or something more permanent, like a wrought iron, something. Or aluminum, it could be
Yeah.
aluminum, but
Mhm.
something nice and decorative, it's gonna be there for a little while.
Right, that's what I, yeah, planning on
Okay.
doing a metal fence around it, yes, so the deer.
No, I think you guys should consider what you think would be best. And make a recommendation for all three. And then, that could go to, I would suggest it would go to, engineering and DPW committee, or go to council and then go back to a committee or something like that.
This one's, the one in the quarter is approved, right? And we've gotten that's gone through, because that was on the list of Arbor Day, that
I would
was,
suggest that you probably give it a special attention, because it's like a landmark, it's
Okay.
going to be a historic, I know.
so, okay.
Can I go by the water?
There is a way to, right on the edge of,
Cause like, aren't they redoing the boat ramp?
we mean down at the end of Baton? Or where are you talking?
I know they were talking, where they're redoing like the launch for kayaks and stuff.
Yeah, at, that, there's a boat, it's not, we should name it something else, you can't really like launch a big boat from there, but.
Launch kayaks and
You
stuff,
can,
right?
yeah,
And paddleboards.
yeah,
It's-
it's a little hard on your feet right now, but when
Yeah,
it's repaired, it'll. I
Right.
don't know where you would plant a tree there.
there are a few little trees there. That storm of the weekend, I walked down to see the runoff from my yard going down there. It's incredible how much water was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Where were you
but
thinking?
that's, yeah, I mean,
I'm
that's,
just thinking of places to put it that are special,
Yeah,
because eventually it'll be
or veterans, is it Veterans Park here in Lupo or here?
Memorial
Memorial
Park.
Park?
I was looking around there too, trying to find a place that's,
Hmm.
there are a lot of Zelkovas in there. They've planted. a whole
We
bunch
got
of-
it, by the way, on that topic. I went to Lupo with my kid during like the Christmas season. We have the Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
We do.
We need a better
The
Christmas
mayor
tree.
asked,
everyone says.
It's like, I saw a DJ out there hanging the lights and I'm like, what are you hanging them on? Like, I felt so bad. I'm
yeah,
like, it's, you know,
we should definitely,
I don't know how
Take that.
you do that, but I take years.
Get upgrade the tree. Because that's.
Anyway,
pretty-
that's down
that's
the
a
road, but
wide-
that's like.
no,
I
no,
looked at
actually,
somebody-
it shouldn't be down the road. We should get that in the fall. And then, I think the problem is they keep putting trees in and they don't get watered. I mean, if we could get Lupo, say, could you drive those over and I mean, if they, I don't know, I think they volunteered to water it. No, I think they volunteered to buy one year, didn't they? Lupo?
Well,
I
we
think
wanted the, containers, maybe the, when they're watering containers. in the
Yeah.
water.
And then you gotta fit a Rumson in their Christmas tree, like,
Oh, I know. I know. The
Where-
problem is, where do you put it? It's, you see where it is now? It's
Yeah.
kind of stuck on the corner there. There's not a great,
anyways, that's a different topic, but it's,
it's a good topic and we should be,
I felt bad for DJ, I was like.
it's, yeah. It's
That
kind of an
tree's
eyesore.
probably been replaced 4 times.
So what, is it the spot that it's in? Or is it the lack of attention?
Little bit of both.
Yeah. But where, is there anywhere else in that park to put a large evergreen? I mean, it's,
Yeah, but I think you'd have to take some things out to give it enough room to really go.
the problem too is you want people to be able to be around it, right? And so that's the flow is also an issue.
And the other thing I would suggest this time was maybe do, and I think I suggested it last time, but I can't be sure whether it was last time or the time before. Do a soil analysis before you even get there and find out exactly what you've got for it to grow in. And if it's
Yeah,
garbage,
yeah.
maybe instead of, plug planting it. They got a 12-foot square, 3 feet deep, go out to one of the farms, get some topsoil, a little horse fertilizer, turn it all up, put it in there. And then, much the same as when you plant your
What's
spring and
GC?
summer flowers in the pot, you put them in potting soil, fertilizer. Well, maybe that's the answer there, because I know Bill
What kind
McDade.
of tree? Like what, or is that depend on the soil? I mean,
Well, The spruces are probably the toughest, but they're a pain in the neck to decorate.
Right.
It's like grabbing a porcupine, it's not fun. Noble firs were kind of on the upper end of the zone for it in terms of summer temperature and everything. Gotta ask about that, it's probably falling glaze, he'd know exactly.
Fall in place.
He's, I can do that if you want. I've got.
Who is he?
Hmm?
Who is Fall in place?
He's probably one of the best diggers and plant guys in the county. He lives over Middletown. He's Chapel Hill Nursery.
Chapel.
Yeah, he, when we moved the holly tree behind Rumson Borough Hall out of the way when they built the new one, he dug it for nothing. There was over a mile of side-foot twine in the ball. In fact, it was over 7,000 feet.
Say that again?
When we dug the tree to move it,
Yeah, then a
we just-
mile.
there was over a mile of the twine. You see them lace the ball. It's over 7,000.
Wow, but it's a good, I mean.
Yeah, I don't want to get off topic here, but,
That's all right.
No, it's.
that's something that, you know,
I think soil prep before you put a new one in there is probably the answer. Well, get a soil analysis. And then do your soil prep before you plant it, because obviously nothing that's gone in there has been real happy. High traffic area, a lot of sidewalk salt, it's leaching into the
Yeah.
soil there. You can beat that up by putting gypsum down, which doesn't hurt the soil at all, and it chelates the salt and keeps it from getting into the root system.
a hardware store might help too.
Yeah, but we should all take a walk around and see if anybody has a good idea of where to put it. There's.
If you,
Yeah, you want something that's front and center like Rumson has, and Rumson utilizes the tree for Christmas, he utilizes it for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
I mean, it's, you know, down the road for us, obviously, but it's just like night and day comparative, and it should be better.
Yeah.
So,
you can also. That tree is a deed restriction, believe it or not. If that tree, if there is not a decorated Christmas tree in that park, it reverts back to the, God, the Borden family. The Bordens gave that park to the town with that deed restriction on it. And we had one die one year, we had to call the attorney and say, hey, look, we're gonna put one back, but they, you know, they let them do it, but it's pretty cool, but that's how that one
so I
happened.
was gonna say, should we move it? But no, we should not move it to another place.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, like you.
No, I'm
could
talking about the Rumson tree was the
Oh, the
one,
Winston tree.
not this one here,
Oh,
this
I was
one.
gonna say, okay,
You're kind of stuck because you've got the monument over there. Really where the tree ought to be is where the monument is,
Yeah.
but you can't do anything about that.
right,
I mean. I know there's a honey locust over there somewhere. I can't remember what the first street tree is. Like due east of the Christmas tree.
Hmm.
Maybe that one
It's-
gets pruned pretty hard to get some more light in there when it's a young tree. But I think doing a little soil study first is probably the most prudent thing you can do. And that won't cost anything. We could probably,
Ship it out to Rutgers, is that how you do it?
could probably get Doug Niss from Bartlett to do it for nothing. Little good PR, you know Doug?
Yeah.
I'll call him and ask him how he'd feel about that if you want.
It'd be great. That's
All right.
good point. So I think I was still talking about what we looked at.
You were talking about the sale rings.
Yeah, so I was thinking of bringing the Salem move to Love Where You Live Day, one of them in a pot and having them sign, just as a kind of a. Just because I'm so afraid we're gonna put these little baby in a park and somebody's gonna, like, kids aren't gonna kind of understand, but if more people understand where it came from, this kind of explains it. It's just what came with the tree. They, Viola gave me this, and I made it enlarged it. But, so we could have that and say future home in the fire park, and I mean, maybe we should ask people, they have, maybe somebody else has a good idea. I don't know. Should we ask for suggestions? Or for the other two? I don't know. Is that opened up a can of worms? I just don't, I,
Well, that can be a complete recommendation to say. This one we recommend be in McCarter Park, and there are 2 additional trees for planting. And leave it up to,
but this is where
others.
it's been hanging out here, Dave's had this,
Well, they needed time in the little pots, right? No, they.
One of them's in my yard, because I was afraid of putting it in a pot, I was gonna be away for a month,
Yeah.
so I'm really scared that thing's going, and so I've gotta dig it up fast and move it.
Have you got it in a clay pot or
Dave had them in plastic pots.
maybe put them in yank them out, comb the roots? And put them in the biodegradable pots and stick them back in the ground, because if they get too big, they're gonna grow through that biodegradable pot. You start digging, okay,
Well,
it's just a thought.
yeah. I would like to find them, so if anybody,
How about where you lost the hickory tree in Fairhaven Fields, which was kind of due east of the corner of the concession stand?
that was the big shade tree that I heard somebody said.
That was a big hickory tree.
What
and,
happened to it?
Hmm?
What happened to it?
I believe a nor'easter happened to it and tore half of it out.
So that would be, so what do you think about that, Fairhaven, by the concession
I
stand?
thought that idea or around the playground over there was floated. Like, well, that was the first place that we were gonna put it.
And was there a reason?
I don't remember if there was a reason why that changed, but that was the first place of discussion with Fairhaven Fields.
So around the playground, not near any of the baseball fields or anything like that, just like right by the concession kind
No, it was up by the playground, I believe,
of playground. Yeah,
Yeah.
the playground could use some shade.
right? I can email
It's
Dave.
fine,
and-
DJ. I think Dave was copied.
Yeah, it's like I can email and.
I know he'll probably ask Teresa.
Well, what?
I don't know, yeah.
That is an area you will definitely have to really put some serious protection on it.
Oh, I
From the
know.
standpoint of the soccer ball going, or a young child going in there and. All of a sudden you've got a Salem oak tree takedown. You don't really want that.
So
But it could be done. I mean, you could,
we put 2 by the playground.
oh, I don't know if you've got that much room, because when that thing gets big, it's gonna be big.
Well, there was that other enormous tree that fell down or well, didn't fall down, but died in Carter Park near the open field area.
Oh, that was a big black oak that went. Mhm.
I mean, that was a big tree
In McCarter Park.
in McCarter, kind of like where they have their bleachers are right now.
Yeah, for the soccer field bleachers when they took that out.
We could put 2, I mean, the place I was thinking was right, behind the sign, like in that
Yeah,
triangle.
no,
So there's
it's
nothing-
marked out now. I see where you're
Yeah,
at, yeah.
But do you think, put another one? Or if, I mean, I
It hits a
find it
ton of
hard to
sun.
navigate this, trying to figure out who gets approval and how we figure out if we can put a tree in.
Well, I'm gonna have to help you.
It's very difficult to get through this
Yeah,
process.
let's, I'm trying to plant a tree on a public land and you don't own the land and you don't own the tree and you're not gonna take care of it, so it is complicated. But it's still a good thing to make happen. So
So the change, what is the,
I think you guys need to write up a recommendation. That providing guidance for the installation of the 3 Salem oaks. And then it'll go to the governing body, I'm your liaison, I will convey it. But it helps if it's in writing, because then it'll get circulated. Like we'll ask Bill. We'll ask Sharon, maybe it'll go. Eventually it'll work its way to, my guess is. If the governing body just says yes, then it'll go to. Engineering and DPW to get installed. But if you want to do the installation.
I mean, it's.
How big are they
They're
now?
tiny, they're tiny.
How big are they?
They're
roughly?
about, I mean, from the top of the pot, no, they're
2
like
feet,
2 feet,
2 feet and probably. At grade, maybe?
not
Pencil?
that big. Yeah, pencil.
Okay, well, here's where I'm going. That thing could very easily get inadvertently crushed,
Yeah.
right?
Are you telling me I have to keep this in my yard?
No. I think you're 100% right. We either gotta get it out of the pot and get a look at it. And see what the roots are doing and maybe root prune it. Which won't hurt it. That'll actually make it grow faster, you stimulate the root growth, right? I don't. treat it like it's a bonsai tree, is what you're gonna do, and just the roots. Okay, then get it back, especially as you indicated, to avoid this. So if we can get them growing, basically comb them out. You can do it with your fingers and then put it back in good soil in a bigger container. Okay, and till it gets big enough that somebody's not gonna make a mistake with a lawnmower, but they'll see it.
Well, I mean, we would put mulch and a fence.
Yeah, it's gonna have to go in. It's my suggestion that it goes in a container both above and below ground. In other words, you could put like something similar to a sonotube in the ground with real good soil inside it, so it's growing in that. That'll help to hold the, not a sonotube, but you know what they are?
Yeah.
Those are those cardboard tubes you see people use, they fill them with concrete, they build their deck on top of it.
Okay.
If you had something 2 feet in diameter, put real good soil and mulch and compost in there and put it in it. That will protect it in the ground. And then you fence it off and maybe even cover it. Let it, in other words, let chicken wire over the top of it, so if a ball does get thrown, if they're not, so it doesn't go in there, so the kids aren't trying to get in, and next thing you know,
Little cage.
yeah, put it in the bird cage. But I don't know what else to call it,
Yeah,
but you're trying to get it to where if it gets bumped into, it won't get destroyed. Or if somebody isn't watching, we all know kids watch every single thing they're doing when they're playing, guaranteed. After the fact. So, I mean, that's just the things that I see that might help you, but if you can get the roots. You can do it with your hand. I mean, if it's that small, you can just comb them out with your hand, much like you do if you plant a house plant, it's all root back. You cut it out, put it back in there. That's what I think is your best bet at this point. Because they were, you know, like that when they were grown by the Forest Service. I think Forest Service had them in greenhouse for 3 years.
yeah.
It's just, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes.
There's few people signed up in the morning shift, but no people, no commission members, volunteers. so far.
well, it's from 1 to 4, so what do you?
We have like 11:30 to 12:30 shift booked and
Is-
12:30 to 1:30 shift booked, but there's nobody manning the table in the afternoon. If anyone is free, I could send the link around again.
You mean for setup? What music? I mean, so it's, the event's from 1 to 4, so there's a group from 11 to.
I was just told to set it up to sign up genius starting at 11:30.
Okay.
First, I guess setup, I don't know.
Not gonna be that much setup. It's more important to have
Okay,
people there when the event.
so do you want me to change it?
Well, yeah, who told?
I did one for environmental. I guess
And they said the
that's-
same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, maybe they do one. Seems
One
like
of
a lot-
ours, somebody made a mistake. It's
Yeah,
okay.
it seems like a lot of setup, I mean, anyway.
I don't care whether, you
Yeah.
tell me what.
Well, I mean, what time?
I
can
won't be here.
Just.
recirculate.
I think it's our first session,
Yeah.
11:30,
11:30 to
that first time was.
1, is that what you're both on, they're
I
both
just
on?
12:30 to 1:30.
1:30.
So get
12:30
ready
to
for
1:30?
today. We
Okay.
do them in hour increments.
Okay. I mean, I would say I'm definitely gonna be there. I just am gonna be on this other culinary, like I have 3 things to be doing, so it's like I need somebody. Is there anybody?
So get rid of the first shift. and-
Yeah.
Kevin? Can
Yeah,
you
what,
come?
just what, I don't see it in my email, like what date and time, I don't know if I have the sign up
It was
link.
sent out a long time ago. The,
Sunday, this Sunday, May 7th, 1 to 4 at Bicentennial Hall.
The simultaneous link is in the agenda and all that stuff I sent you on Monday too. But I'm gonna change it and take out that first shift then. Okay. So, and I'll send you the
Can you come?
simultaneous links.
Can you come a little later or no?
It just depends on the kid's schedule, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So,
Sunday, 1 to 4, I'm sure I can do an hour. I can't be there all afternoon because of sports, but I guarantee I can do an hour or whatever.
Well.
I'll tell you as it stands on Thursday, and then I guess someone will fill in the holes, or
Okay,
I'll be there, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
is there anybody, is Mike? available?
He signed up for I think Mike signed up for the first shift, didn't he? Or
We have
no?
everybody on the first shift, well, yeah,
I'll,
I
I'll
think you
look
just
to
need
see if I can move my spot.
okay, that would be great,
Happy to do that.
okay, that'd be
I'll
great,
just resend it.
okay.
Okay.
Whoever's manning the table needs, if they're collecting donations, they need to come back to the borough on Monday.
So what are we saying, so what are we collecting donations in? We need and what does it say on it? Is it for the shade trees, is it for planting trees, is it for, it's not anything to do with the tree that's being
No,
given
you
away.
cannot do it like a raffling and giving money.
So how are we doing the
You can
tree?
collect donations in isolation of raffling off the tree.
And we still need raffle tickets, like we're gonna have everybody write their name if they want the tree and put it in a bucket. So,
I don't have any supplies, it's up
Yeah.
to you guys if you wanna do that. And did you check that box?
It's called a
What
giveaway,
give
because
away.
we don't have a raffle license, it's just
Okay.
called a giveaway. And if you think,
Giveaway.
if you receive donations, it says a donation to the Shade Tree Commission.
And then I guess, okay. All right, so. All right, natural areas, that's my next one. So the natural area has had a big month. First, they got approved the plan to use their money from the community appeal to clean out the northwest area by the cell tower. Huge project, I think 2 acres of it was totally covered in vines, and nobody could really get back in there. And Kevin from Frontier came in and cleaned out, you know, everything. So now, Dave Carl recommended waiting a little bit just to see what's gonna come back, but, it still has some invasive problems, but we'd like to start, you know, figuring out where to put the paths and then planting the trees and kind of define it, because it could add a whole new area. And what would be great is the church is right there with the Meadowflower School and the seed and stick and sprout, whatever. If they cleaned up their little strip in between, those kids could come through and be in the natural area. It would be so nice, but I don't know that they have any in that area out, but, and last weekend, as part of, their volunteer weekend, we planted 47 understory plants. And we got most of them in before, well, Saturday it was pouring rain the whole time. Sunday we got them in early. The Key Club members came, the kids helped. It was really fun. I mean, we had a lot of people walking the dogs by and we're excited to see it, you know, happening. Now we've protected them from deer. I mean, I bought deer resistant plants, but nothing is really deer resistant in the natural areas. So anyway, so we're gonna, you know, kind of a project to see if we can grow back some of the understory there. But it's interesting, you know, working with Kevin back in that area. I mean, there's so many hanging trees, so many things that have to be taken care of. I'm wondering why the shade tree isn't more involved in that area. Why they're so separate.
Ability to respond to anything else.
Liability for food. But-
Well, those hangers,
Well, I'm just saying, why is that not part of our
It
hazardous
is
tree?
from a policy standpoint, it is,
But we don't.
well, you can, do the Shade Tree Commission. Discuss.
I mean, are trees in the natural area part of the hazardous tree and like hazardous?
That's typically related to the right of way and, yeah, public lands, but primarily regular. For,
But I mean, the parks are part of that, right?
open public
Yes.
land and the travel right of ways are typically what a hazard tree survey addresses.
Well, I mean,
Street
those are-
trees, the trees in actively used parks.
Well, the natural areas, trails that are actively used by lots of people.
I can make the case. It'd be an interesting discussion if the Shade Tree Commission wanted to suggest that as a matter of policy, the hazardous tree inventory also include.
We,
Trees.
Dave and I and Nick have tried to walk those trails twice a year with a focus focus on trees that were they to fail would reach a trail. If they're hung up going the other way and they will fall into native ground, not a trail, not a trafficked area, it's kind of like, okay. But anything that were to fail, you know, could reach the traveled path or
Yeah.
that, but the problem is, as you well know, is getting anything in there. Now,
Right.
Kevin's got a spider lift now, which is great. So you don't have to drive a truck in there. That thing is pretty amazing. And that does give you the option just to get up in the air safely, because you start working on those things from the ground. It can get exciting in a big hurry. You cut one and find out that's the one that was holding four others up.
I just feel like I mean, I don't know if you guys walk in there a lot or ever.
It would be a frightening number
Yeah.
to do it right.
You try, you go.
Right.
Sure.
You have a dog?
I've been through there quite a few times. Yeah, I mean, but is that, so that is part of our.
Tree commission.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of but, I mean, I don't, I wasn't sure if we,
Well, you're a commission, you were formed by government, for government, for purposes of government, and the Shade Tree Commission, just like the Environmental Commission, isn't limited to a discrete area. Your purview includes the entirety of Fairhaven now. You know, the wording of our ordinances narrowly define your role as it has to do with private land. But where it's public land, government looks to the position of Shade Tree Commission for the health and viability of our canopy, broadly speaking, and sort of the maintenance of the inventory, all the things you're talking about, they're not limited to one area, but rather the whole of Fairhaven.
I think honestly, Bonnie, like. You're probably talking about a bandwidth problem, and there is, you know, a natural area committee that's kind of focused on that, and even though the shade tree that would fall under that realm, I'm guessing that's probably why shade tree isn't as focused on that area. It's
Yeah,
because there is a commission, there is a committee that's focused on that area. But I think, you know, as we talk about
The committee
doing
doesn't have
like
a
the
budget.
inventory and identifying hazard trees and kind of like this whole like update, that's something that would be maybe step 2 after you get through the critical things, which would be the street trees and the park trees. But you know, in talking with people that do inventories and these management companies, which you're well aware, when I broached the subject of going into the natural area, they were like, no.
could you just do extrapolate from take a
Yeah.
sample and, and
Yes, but that would be something that would have to come after we do. You know, the main trees, the street trees and stuff that is gonna affect the population the most, I think, is.
But if you had a policy position, or if you had a point of view, or if you had something that the Shade Tree Commission wanted to speak to regarding the natural area, that's within your purview. And that could be addressed to the governing body or the natural area advisory committee, because they function as an advisory committee. They're very boots on the ground, task oriented, and get it done, but technically they're an advisory committee. Nobody created the volunteer group to actually rescue or rehabilitate an entire natural area, although they do, you know what I mean? They really do. They're taking it literally.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
like,
But there's nothing to say you can't have position, even if it's just a position of support for what they're doing, you know.
yeah, I guess that's what I feel like we should be more closely, because what are they? They're trees. They're a natural area, and I feel like we've been so separate, right? I mean, that this committee the commission should be just kind of a little more involved and maybe, aware of what they're doing, what they need, and helping them.
I mean, maybe as a practical matter, as liaison, if you have ideas that you think we should consider as a commission to go for, then we can consider those and discuss them. I think that's a great idea.
Well, I mean, to start with, when they have their, speakers come in and they have their walk through the woods and. I mean, it'd be nice if the Shade Tree Commission participated, right? Showed interest and went, because they're interesting. And you learn a lot. I mean, they're there to tell you about the trees, and so you learn about trees. I think you would enjoy it. They're very.
Every single time it's been there, there's been a conflict, so
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah,
I think like back to the bandwidth problem, it's just not, I don't think it's for lack of interest, I think it's for lack of time. Your schedule, or just, I mean.
Yeah.
Everybody's busy, so we do what we can.
I think we're busy.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, I don't have an update on the tree inventory, we covered it last time, it's on hold, due to their staffing issues when the ability to apply comes out, we'll move forward, they're expecting that to be over the summer. Community outreach, Leah isn't here, I don't know if she sent anything in, all I could say is we, did the tree hangers, I think we talked about that last time. And I've seen her Instagram post. I don't know if everybody else has, but like them, love them, pass them, share them with your friends.
Great.
Anything else from her? No, right?
No, we'll find out, I'll get in touch with you, find out what she's giving for the table.
okay.
Okay. Plums and cherry trees?
Yeah, I'm excited. We went back out to the community. I have 6 homeowners who are really excited about having Kwanzaa on their property. There's 6 houses. It represents 9 trees altogether, so we have a good problem, which is we're gonna have to, pick for this year. So I thought maybe what I could do, and Jill, thank you for connecting me with the tree purchase program, because we're gonna join forces there, which I think is gonna help us and allow us to buy more trees. And so we're gonna do this in the fall alongside that. And so I thought in the next meeting or the one after that, but I'll plan to have it ready for the next meeting. I can just outline the houses and the location. I'll have a picture and the address, and we can all look at them, and then I guess we can vote on them. Does anybody have a better idea than to vote? I mean, we have to establish a budget, which we had around $1,500 for this year. I think we'll just have to guesstimate what a tree is gonna cost, and then we're gonna figure out that it's 2 or 3 trees. I mean, I think that's gonna
So
be.
is this from Fernbrook that you're gonna get that? as
Yeah.
part of- So wouldn't they be on the same price?
Yes, but
Yeah,
I mean, assuming it's somewhere in that ballpark, right?
like 400.
So I can present that to the group ahead of time, and we can vote to see where we want to put them.
Peter, how big are you thinking about purchasing them? Diameter?
We have to find out how big they are.
Okay.
I think it's.
The only thing I would make a suggestion to you is find out if they have high grafted or low grafted ones, because the high grafted ones,
Those are the preferable.
yeah, it's a lot easier to do routine lawn maintenance and leaf raking and that underneath when they get a little bigger.
Yeah.
With the low grass, normally that first set of branching is 24 inches off the ground. High graft is at least double that.
Yeah.
So that might make them happier 5 years down the road. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, no, we were originally targeting 2 to 2.5 inch caliber. I don't know where we stand with Fernbrook, but I
They were
can
saying
please-
2.5 to 3 is what they
Yeah.
have in the program.
Great. So,
Are these houses all on Fairhaven Road? Is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tracy, before the quantum cherry trees can be identified, DPW or Nick has to go out and measure to make sure they're out of the right of way.
Yeah,
So do you see a case where a property wouldn't be quote unquote plantable for that reason? Like, should we have them mark out or
you
look at it
identify
prior
them.
to voting, or just rank them and then if they're out, then alert them later. Do you see what
I
I'm saying?
think I do, yeah, you wanna vet them first before
Yes,
the
that's-
Shade Tree
that's right.
Commission. Yeah, if Nick can get that information. He'll know he'll have a rough sense of the right away, so we don't have to like survey or anything, but,
It's right on the tax.
that way you'll know, yeah, that way you'll know which
If
properties
it's
are,
feasible.
yeah.
Is there any reason it wouldn't be?
Only, I don't know what else is planted in their
Yeah.
front yards.
I mean, all of these properties I know have the space, I mean, for my own evaluation, have the space for a tree.
Okay.
But I'd be happy to share the addresses.
Well, Nick will need them. I think that's what
Yeah.
Christie's point
Yeah.
was, just to make sure that they're all viable.
Exactly, before you vote on
Before you vote
three
on-
and those three happen.
Great, great. So then I'll get the addresses to Nick.
We'll get them to Christie.
Yeah.
She'll handle that.
I'll work with him on
All right,
that.
great.
Are they all south of River Road, Peter? Or east of River Road, or south?
So,
Are they all south? of it? Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that right of way is 50 feet all the way. From river to ridge. I think it is smaller on the other side, but if they're not over there,
Mhm.
don't worry about
Uh,
it. I think that's a continuous right of way. I don't think it's one of the ones that narrows down and pops out.
I don't know, there's some weird curve return, after McCarter.
Yeah, but I think that
But it's
went,
not.
that went back toward the property line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nick will
you're
know.
right, on the north,
Yeah,
would be
so
the
on
east
the
side of the
side.
street, when they put that retaining wall in, they put the sidewalk in through there.
Mhm.
That did eat up part of the right of way
Mhm.
from a sidewalk standpoint. But I'm pretty sure that it was a continuous width the entire way, you're correct.
So Nick will know, and also Fairhaven, road phase two. Definitely ask, you want Nick to sign off or at least do this initial vetting with two things in mind, the right of way and also Fairhaven Road Phase Two. Which will involve some sidewalk and storm drainage work.
mhm.
So it could, I don't know where these properties are, but he'll know how to.
Okay.
Evaluate all that.
Great. Yeah, generally, I mean, just it was really heartening to talk to all these homeowners who were super excited
Yeah,
about
they
it.
were
So
cool.
they were just thrilled with the idea. So
Oh, that's
good
great.
stuff.
That is good.
Thank you.
Phil, do you have time for me to do the resident update, or do you need to do your update now?
Well, I'm gonna meet my wife for late dinner at 8:30, so I can do mine real quick.
Yeah.
County has not gotten back to us yet. But they are gonna take care of that one tree as soon as they can. They're just doing a lot of shared services out in the western part of the county, and they're shorthanded, really shorthanded. No, there's no planned power trimming until next year. 2024, they'll be back in town. But nothing other than emergency storm work will be handled, or case by case tree. If we find one, DPW finds one that's a threat to the wires, they have indicated they will come do that if we help them out with the logs, and we've always done that for them. They'll get it below the energized conductor or get it flat for us, chip it, and then we just take the log and put it up in the leaf dump, and it seems to work very well. We get more for our money that way.
Did you ever find out about One Hands? Remember all those trees that were marked with pink ribbons and you were gonna check on it because it was on a slope? I'm just
One
curious.
hands, that's
Yeah.
all the way at the river and,
Huge house again. And the little bank, there's a steep
Yeah,
bank.
slope
goes
that
down
was
to the
there.
top of the park.
nobody could really give me a real good answer as to what that was gonna be.
Why they
Because-
were all, yeah,
Yeah, because
because it definitely,
Joe Hempel was originally the contractor on that house. He's not doing it anymore. So my inside information pipe is clogged.
okay.
I know somebody else.
No, I was just curious because
Well,
it would impact, right? They
Yeah,
come down.
it would, and I don't believe that there's a tree removal permit application.
I
And I don't know that the development for that site, I think, went to the technical review committee, which is a
Yeah.
subset of the And if that was the case, if there were agreements made between the staff and the property owner, that would be sort of obscure, nobody would know. But we should be able to find out, the concern is.
The problem would be the slope would prohibit removal. It would prohibit the removal as per ordinance definition, because that's definitely over the grade percentage, definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree, so hopefully there isn't some, oopsie,
Who's doing the excavating? Timmy Kennedy is. I can call him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
I go back for 40 years with him, we can probably get something out of that,
that'll be-
basically, hey, what are you planning on doing there? Yeah, because this would require
Be a violation.
engineering and it would require.
They'd have to,
A
They'd have
real
to build a
big
retaining
mitigation
they'd
plan,
have to, exactly,
it would probably.
be a major undertaking that
Yeah,
they're probably not
They
contemplating.
might not even be able to put a retaining wall. in
That's costly.
Because you're back 150 from a class 1 waterway.
True.
And
So
you're in wetlands. So, yeah, the last thing you want is the alphabet soup people coming to visit you. That's a real bad day.
Yeah, let us know what you find out.
Yeah, I'll see if I can't get them and
I'll write it down.
Okay, we can do that and, yeah. That may be municipal. And
There is a portion of it that is municipal, quite an extensive portion of it that's municipal. It goes, I think it's a full 8 feet past their construction fencing. Which would even,
Yeah, because-
all the trees. I'm gonna let you get in there.
No, I'm thinking that.
They marked out trees that are not on their property.
That's correct. But I don't have any idea unless that was survey markers.
It might be just for talking to the owner and saying, you do realize if you take down all these trees, the side of your yard is gonna wash down into the river, like,
Well,
right? And
the way you do it is before you do that, you must understand that you would need several things, starting with a ruling from the DEP because you're in 150-foot.
Right,
riparian
but I mean, I would just hate to see
Bill's right.
those trees come down because they didn't know and nobody spoke to them, and then all of a sudden it's a big problem. Because we're putting in the new pocket park there too. I mean, it could impact a lot of things.
There's no way that was part of the survey for that elevation, was it?
No,
Okay,
Sorry, I meant to, but
No, that's-
it's an interesting.
let me ask Tim if he knows anything, and if he doesn't know anything. I don't even know who the general foreman is or the construction manager is down there now. But Joe might know.
Company a couple times.
There's a new sign in front of it.
Yeah,
don't
I
know
mean,
if
there-
it's-
There's so much steel in that house. It's unreal. Built half an aircraft carrier. Really good. Well, I don't want to incur the wrath of the boss, so I better get myself to dinner.
Thanks, Bill, have a nice week.
Thank you. If I can sneak over on Sunday, I will try to, but the
Sure,
way
you're
it
welcome.
looks, I'm probably going to be at work in Ocean Township. Somebody has incurred the wrath of the DEP. It is going to cost them extensively.
Mm.
They're looking well into 6 figures on this one.
Thanks.
They're taking trees down.
Well, not so much taking the trees down, but we're pulling the stumps out and changing the grade and allowing the water, the dirt in the Deal Lake. They made a tactical error. Take care. Nice to meet you. Chrissy, I'll call you once I talk to the people without further. Yep, thank you.
So we're gonna cover a quick permit update under Bill and I for the month of April. We processed 9 tree removal permits, 1 denial, which will be heard at the Monday's council meeting, and 1 denial from last month that will be carried. And will also be discussed at the meeting. So that's the tree update.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna circle back to the resident tree buying program. We're still plans haven't changed since last month. It's the same update. Once Burnbrook takes the inventory in July, we will see what they have to offer us. We'll put together a selection of trees that residents could choose to purchase. I'm gonna work with Christie on taking orders. And we'll get it going. But yeah, really, there's nothing new going there. And then Tracy, where do you, if you have any updates?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, so the outstanding question from the last commission meeting having to do with the tree ordinance was, is it customary or the norm for shade tree commissions to entertain appeals from the permit process? And it is customary. There are other ways of doing it too, but it's definitely done that way. In fact, the boilerplate for the ordinance that has been tweaked and retweaked and worked on here as a draft for Fairhaven, that the appeal coming to the Shade Tree Commission was part of the Bradley Beach appeal process. So that's not uncommon. And you guys would be most familiar with the ordinance other than staff, who of course will have to familiarize themselves with the ordinance. Next to them would be this body. And you're going by the law, you're administering the law. And, you know, if there's, then you would have some authority to manage an offset, you know, which would be, I can make up a scenario, but say if someone, you know, gets denied because they want to clear more than what's allowed under the ordinance. Then you've identified a few handfuls of trees that don't really conflict with what let's say a builder is intending to do there. You could, you know, you could come to a negotiation in that instance where a certain number of trees you would agree for some sort of offset, which would include a contribution to the tree bank. We call it something else in the ordinance, I forget, but the idea is if they can't replant enough trees on the property, then they're basically putting the money in this fund so that a tree will get planted elsewhere, administered by this body. You can uphold a denial, and you can say, we cannot give you permission to do what you want to do. When we know you're here because you want us to go ahead and overrule our tree conservation officer, we cannot. The law's law, we're not comfortable with the request you're making. Then they have a secondary appeal in the process to go to the zoning board. And then the zoning board can hear them and they can make a case before the zoning board. And the zoning board can make a determination to override the Shade Tree Commission and override the tree conservation officer and override our local ordinance and give them permission to do what it is they're asking to do, which is be exempted from the law entirely. You know, my guess is it's very unlikely that it would ever come to that, right? But I think it's a pretty typical process. And I know that came up, so I wanted to report back because I specifically spoke to the municipal attorney about this and we talked about it, and it's not uncommon. I'm very happy to tell you that we've had movement and the ordinance within 2 weeks, maybe even a little bit sooner, but I'm just going to say 2 weeks because things take time. But this was initiated after the last Shade Tree Commission meeting. Within 2 weeks, we should have 2 draft ordinances. One, which is the one you're more familiar with, which is the Bradley Beach ordinance that got certain components added to it to make it fit for Fairhaven. And then the other draft is going to be the Rumson ordinance that has some things added to it. And then we can look at both and make a determination. I do not yet have, I know what's going to be in them and I have a sense of them, and I'm going to be pretty comfortable with the one I'm most familiar with because I worked on it a lot. And I see an advantage to exploring the Rumson ordinance, because if, you know, this is, you know, our canopy doesn't stop at the border of Rumson and Fairhaven, nor Fairhaven or Red Bank for that matter, but still, it's to me the topic of the canopy and the ecosystem and the places, you know, our habitat we call home. It would be interesting to think long-term about how we administer this ordinance, and if we're going to need a tree conservation officer, it's gonna be someone who manages the permits, like with Christie, for example, a bill. But we're gonna need someone else with a higher level of expertise, who might function more as a consultant that we bring in from time to time for certain decisions. Or it could be someone on staff that kind of gets this job added. I don't know that we have someone right now that could carry this job as well as our other job. So I'm still exploring ways that we can execute, because we can write laws all day long, but if we don't have somebody to administer them and execute them, then this what's the point? But the thought in the back of my mind is maybe there is some sort of shared resources with Rumson. I've not had any conversation with anybody. I don't want to talk out of turn. They have their own show, but if there is a consultant that they can inform both communities, that can have a long-term value added benefit to the overall peninsula. And that seems to me worth exploring.
So a quick question, if you don't mind. The Bradley Beach one is the one that Mike worked on and we've all been reading.
Yes.
And the Rumson one is being introduced just because they're the next town over and we might want to consider what they're doing. What's the major difference between the two?
I
mean, I think that
Difference is not what I shared with you. That's my take on the potential added value. I think we got just a massive administrative memo in response to the initial draft ordinance, the bulk of which had to do with, we don't have the money or people to do this. And it's an involved administrative, that it is too overly involved, and
right.
is it, we don't have enough people or money to do this, and it's so many steps and blah, blah, blah. So the Rumson ordinance had a certain appeal to key staff people. I still have to look at it and take it apart and tell you that I don't know if it's really that much simpler than ours, because I think you'd still, I think ours is pretty straightforward. You do your appeal, if you do your application, if you get denied, you can come here. If you get denied, you can go to zoning board. And ultimately, if you want to take it to court, go ahead, you know.
Right.
I don't think there's a less cumbersome process. You could take the zoning board out of it. But I would do that. So I think, and I'll read the ordinance because I don't have it yet, to tell you in my own words why I think they thought it was administratively simpler.
So from an administrative, like how we enforce would be what they're looking at the Rumson one for, not for the, not for the rules associated.
That's
with what.
my sense of it.
Okay, all right, yeah.
But until I read it, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly.
Yeah, Tracy, I heard from someone that Rumson decided to have a much bigger permit fee for builders, like they were, you know, they're kind of,
Different than.
yeah, like trying to,
I think that's a
developers and-
violation of the Constitution, the
No.
state of New Jersey. They did, that's interesting. I don't know that you can.
Yeah.
I don't think you can treat a property owner, whether it's a builder or a family,
but well,
differently, especially in a fee, for a fee, that.
In the interest of like moving on, like
Yeah.
let's stay focused on trees, because we thought to vote on those things. Anything, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I might have owed you guys, I did do some outreach to Shari. We failed to connect, but not without, you know, I will say we made an effort, because I wanted to try to explore the cost of what her experience has been in putting together the grant application for the tree inventory.
Right.
Is that a $20,000 thing? Is that a $5,000? Is a fee in the grant? And they get paid afterwards. I'm trying to give you guys some. This was one of the things I think I was tasked to do. I don't have that answer for you yet, but we will. And by the way, she's a resource for you guys. I don't know that that's, I haven't been very clear for you on that. But, she is a resource for the Shade Tree Commission. That means at any point, when you say, for example, you're reviewing the ordinance and you want to have an opinion from somebody like a Shari, she's available to you. She can zoom in and answer your questions, and her consulting fees will be paid out of the budget for the Shade Tree Commission. I feel like there was one other thing I have here, big tree hunt list, which I think is gonna be part of the ordinance, but that was my homework from last time. Was there anything else that I can do? Is there anything?
I don't think so. Okay, so, proposed new agenda items, the only two things that I wrote down, is if we want to talk about with the bigger group, the Christmas tree replacement. And then, the Salem Oak recommendations, kind of just start thinking about where those might go.
I was planning on bringing them up in my report on Monday at council. Is it too premature?
The Salem Oak,
Both the Salem Oak and
I don't think it's premature. I mean, if it's a solid, like if the idea of replacing that Christmas tree is gonna cause, well, like people can lose their heads, or maybe it's not gonna be something that we focus on.
I'm gonna make sure you guys are at a point where you want me to raise it.
Well, I think it's to just find out how do we get it approved, like what,
It's
It-
gonna
it
take
has-
time to get your head wrapped around it, because every little situation
Yes.
requires a sort of separate procedural path.
I still haven't figured out.
It
where goes
doesn't always make sense, Bonnie.
Does it ever make sense? It's not.
I mean, I can tell you,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
I guess, yeah, if you want just like okay, it's in the park, ask DJ then, I like.
Well,
but-
you are a policy body, so it's not your job to basically dig a hole and plant a tree.
Mhm.
That's like a big break in, and it requires a separate thought if you want. You're a policy body, so when I say, if you guys have a point of view about the Christmas tree, and it's been informed by, he's a paid consultant, and he's told you, get the soil,
Right.
fortify, dig it big, dig it deep and wide, but get a new tree, and it's a certain, I don't think he told us a species, a recommended
He
species.
said, wait for the soil sample, come back and kind of.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a short memo that can go to the governing body from this commission as a matter of,
But there's also a Memorial Park Committee.
So
Chris
if you could
Rodriguez
copy
is on
the
that,
Memorial
right?
Park Committee, you could copy Parks and Rec. And Christie and I can figure all that stuff out for you, and you guys don't have to figure that out. If you want to send up a policy position on something, we'll work it through the system and tell you about it if you want, but.
Does anybody want to own the Christmas tree situation? You brought it up. Thank you. And then Bonnie will keep you on the Salem Oaks, obviously, because
Yeah.
is that okay? I mean,
Yeah, yes, I mean, I want to get these little,
I think you're
babies.
motivated. on that
Yeah.
one.
Is it helpful for them to go I know you want them in the ground where they're gonna be forever and ever and ever
I do.
right away.
Yeah.
What if you needed a nursery situation for a few years? Is that even a
So,
viable?
everything I've read about oaks, and I've read a lot.
Yes.
It's like, the best thing to do is get this acorn, because it shoots down its, taproot and it's going. And if you mess with the taproot, like, I don't know, I've never heard
Okay.
that trimming them is great, so I think it's best to plant them as an acorn or little. And then they take off and they grow much faster.
Okay.
So that's why I kind of wanted to get it in the spot that we want to keep it and not.
Have you identified any kind of I mean, I can picture the tree grades, or not the tree grades, the tree cages.
Yeah, I mean, we put them on trees,
Yeah, that's like an urban tree treatment, but in this case, it seems appropriate.
and the whole ball, I mean, I don't know, the cage thing was interesting. I didn't even think about balls going in, crunching it, but.
Yeah,
it's-
There's a lot of ways if you start imagining how you could.
What kids would do to try. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen a
Tree not be
cage?
there
A
anymore. Yeah.
cage? Never, I don't know.
I hear what he's saying about that, and I just picture putting something in a cage, like it's just gonna attract
Well,
attention and people.
You could put the, you know, surrounded with the fence and just put screening or something and
Right.
just tie it on.
Yeah.
I mean, it might replace it, something, I don't know.
Well,
Are we at a point where, I don't know if we're quite at a point where we think you should be raising this up yet, because I don't know if we have a fully formed thought on either of those things, the Christmas tree or the
Fair
sail
enough.
boat, right?
I sense that too.
Yeah,
Well, I think getting the soil tested is not a bad idea to start with the Christmas tree, because it might just even inform maybe how that tree can grow better.
But you need,
You know, by
you
doing some amendments to the soil or something like
need-
that.
you need
So-
permission of the, Memorial Park
Maybe.
Committee.
It's technically under the jurisdiction of the governing body, all public lands are, so well.
So do you have to ask council for permission to test the soil?
I think if you just say, we recommend and would like to go ahead and do that,
Yeah.
we'd send somebody from DPW to take a soil sample and just copy the folks who would care, like the Memorial Park Committee and, DJ's office and that committee. There are a lot of committees, so it is hard. See, it's very hard. I get it. For a little town, we have like a very tentacled bureaucracy, but it is what it is. So, and, but we could make sure everybody gets it. I don't think it needs to be a
Right.
government action. I just think you're sort of
Okay.
looking to say. We recommend, and then, but we can also wait. Nothing has to happen right now. Like to Peter's point, you guys are down a few commissioners tonight. You can bring it up again at your next meeting and then give a direction. Whatever you want to do.
Well, I mean, we start getting this way, which, I mean, that
Well,
might take a while.
I'll ask Bill what the process is and. I can talk to Chrissy and find out who to reach out to from the committees, just to say we may, you guys have any?
I think I just outlined it. If you guys send a memo, which Christie would do, and just say we'd like to make sure that the soil is tested now, if that's what you're all saying, then that will go in a memo and we'll copy the various entities that
Okay.
you are related to it.
I'll put them on.
And then I think it would be, who's the foreman for parks? Do you know?
Dave Carl?
Oh, yeah. And then ultimately, my guess is Dave Carl will do a soil test and then you guys will, that's what should happen.
Okay.
Okay, great.
He'll send it out to Rutgers, I would guess. I actually don't, do we have the ability to do, we don't have,
Bill said that he had somebody that would test it.
wouldn't it be the Rutgers
You
cooperative?
can just dig it dirt from your yard, put it in a bag, send it to Rutgers. and
Yeah, that's the
it's
cooperative
really
extension.
easy.
Well, because Bill,
Yeah.
we should trust Bill on that one as far as he gets paid, right? So. let's-
What?
Who's-
He's gonna send it to the Rutgers.
I know, but I'm saying, I'm not mailing it, like, if Bill's
No.
volunteered earlier to do it, he said he would do it, so let's let him do it.
Yeah.
Let's, you know.
Okay,
I'll work on the memo and we'll do next steps from there.
yeah.
I think so.
Great. Okay, so we could open it up to the public then, right?
Is there anything?
If anyone in the public has a question online, please raise your hand and I'll bring you over to speak.
No, go ahead.
There are no questions.
Is anybody with us? Just out of
Yeah,
curiosity.
Susan. was wrong.
Just Susan over.
Nothing else. I don't know where to wave, it's the candidate's staff.
All right, so then. We're done, we're done. We just have to vote on
The,
the posters.
which is impossible.
Vote on the
Right.
posters, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.